Next slide, Christina. So here's our agenda for today. So I'm gonna spend a few minutes going over the Veteran Employment Services Program and the services that we provide to veterans and how we work with veterans to help them find employment. And then we'll go right into our presentation with our two awesome presenters. And then their presentation will be roughly 30 minutes, and then we'll leave about roughly 25 minutes for any questions you guys may have regarding the topics that were covered by our presenters. And then we have a couple of a cool contest that will be announced by my program manager, Charles Smith, and he'll be discussing his program and the contest that he has coming up and introducing that. Next slide. Okay, so as you all know, we're the Salvation Army Veteran Employment Services Program. And we're dedicated to helping veterans reach their employment goals through passionate, supportive guidance. So the way our program is structured, you will self-register. We've sent the link in the you guys' registration emails, but if you have any additional questions, you can email us on how to register at ves@usw.salvationarmy.org is at the bottom of the screen right now. But once you register with the Salvation Army, one of our career development specialists will reach out and then schedule a one-on-one meeting with you. Within that meeting, you would discuss, your career goals, employment goals, and how our program can best fit your needs and help you find employment. So the only requirement for our program is that you have a DD-214 and photo ID and some service within the U.S. military. So whether that's reserve or active duty. I will also like to say that if you have a other than honorable discharge, that's fine. So as long as it's not dishonorable, we can work with you. And these are some of the services that we provide. These are just a few other services. We do provide additional services in these, but we help with resume writing, targeted resume writing, interview coaching, job search coaching, and how to search for jobs using the internet resources. We have a network of employers that we can connect our veterans with. We also have can offer job-related training resources. So if you need assistance paying for a training or getting access to a training, we can also help with that. And then we also can guide veterans through the veteran benefits process and getting resources, additional resources to help with the employment search and getting connected with veteran benefits. Next slide, Christina. Okay, cool. So without further ado, I would like to welcome our two wonderful guest speakers, Ms. Sarah Rojas and Ms. Toby Ramirez Johnson.
Hello, hello, hello. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Toby Ramirez Johnson, and I'm excited today to be here with you along with Sarah Rojas. So just give me one moment. You can share the screen and I can pull up our presentation, and then we'll be able to jump right on in and get started.
So I'm making sure everyone can hear me, right?
Yeah, we got you.
Perfect.
Okay. All right, so once again, welcome. We are thrilled to be here today from sunny Florida. So Sarah and I are both based in Orlando, and Sarah has over 8 years of human resources experience, and I have about 17 years of human resources experience. So what better way, as you have this great resource assisting you with job search, and we can give you perspective from the other side as what does an employer look for. But before we even get started, we just want to thank all the veterans that are on here for your service. That is huge, especially for myself. My brother served 2 tours. Unfortunately, he did pass away. So veterans are very, very near and dear to my heart. So I just want to thank you all for your service, for what you do. All right, we're going to get right into, we're going to talk about what is the current state of affairs with everything that's going on in this crazy world right now. We want to give you some helpful tips for success while you're searching for jobs. Discuss what our employers looking for right now, and then we'll also give you the opportunity if you have any questions that hopefully we can assist and answer those for you.
All right, so obviously we've all not been living under a rock. We've seen everything that the world has going through and all of the impact that it's really taking on the entire world. So some of the statistics for you: 22 million jobs have been lost in the pandemic. Unemployment alone has risen up higher than 3 months of COVID-19 than it did in 2 years of the Great Recession. And the average person is currently receiving about $378 a week for unemployment benefits. For those of you that are currently in Florida, can definitely, don't compare with other states, because other states are a little bit more cushion when it comes to this, but really average is not much if you think about that when it comes to unemployment. Go ahead, Toby.
So here we are, and I'm sure that many of us on this call feel this way right now. There's a sea of people all applying for the same job. And you're saying, what can I do that will have me stick out from other people that possibly have more experience than I do? They may have better resources than I do to help find a job. And that's really where we want to come to you today to let you know, do not let that intimidate you. I can tell you in the career that I have right now, I do not have a college degree. I went to college for about 2.5 years, and really it was how did I present myself that always opened doors for me. So that's where we want you to know that it's not just a degree, but how is the best way to present yourself to employers, especially because today employers are looking for something much different than they were looking for previously.
So understanding what has changed since COVID-19 hit is going to be very, very important for you. I can tell you that, really recently, and Toby and I, talk a lot back and forth, and we've known each other for years in regards to just best practices and what she's seeing, what I'm seeing. And one of the biggest things is just really understanding and changing your mindset in regards to the effect that it's doing and for businesses and the impact that it's really taking over the economy. Some of you may not have job search in a long time. So once again, maybe you've had the same job for years and years, and things have changed since. So just really getting yourself some knowledge back on what it works today, what doesn't, what's effective, what's not effective. So we're going to definitely share some of those tips with you towards the end of this. But really the biggest piece, and when we were talking about developing this topic, is really just helping you change your mindset in regards to what it looks like today, because it has changed dramatically within the last few months. One of the biggest things that we're seeing, of course, in our companies and really any other companies that we talk to during this pandemic is we're requiring more of people because a lot of the companies have had to restructure. So a lot of positions have even been condensed. Maybe we've had to have, more of in specific areas, but leaner in others. So just be mindful that a lot of companies are really looking for people that do have the ability to do more than just one thing. And if you think a skill set that you typically wouldn't talk about during the interview is not relevant, I say still bring it up, because a lot of times us as recruiters or pre-screeners to hire managers, we're thinking of 100 things in our mind when we're having a conversation with you. At times, as you're talking, we're like, you know what, this person will be really good for something completely different that you may be interviewing for. So don't be afraid to share some of the skills that could be potentially relevant, maybe in other areas within the same organization or the same position. So some tips for success, at the end of the day, this whole pandemic has really affected all of us, and I can say even for Toby and I, being in the HR world, it has been extremely, extremely difficult just to watch how it has affected our people, essentially our family, our kids, the ones that we help recruit, train, develop, and then over the months, we've had to lose a lot of them because of what's going on. So just getting yourself prepared and mentally ready to start the job search, right? So one of the biggest things that personally has worked for me throughout this whole pandemic, and also by discussing with a lot of people that are currently out searching, is establishing a routine. That's going to be very, very important to you. Just having the mindset of as if you were potentially going to work, and maybe just getting up and doing something that you have not done in the past, even pre-COVID, trying something different. Implement some tips that are going to help you start your day in a positive note. I can tell you that what may work for Sally may not work for Larry. So just try different things, listen to audiobooks if that works for you, do a couple of squats, or maybe just some jumping jacks, whatever it is, try new things, because sometimes you'll find something that will really help you to just get your day started in the right mindset. And one of the things that we really suggest is, hey, dress for success. Pretend like you are going to work, especially if you're going to be doing your work search. It does make you feel good. It does make you feel better, and it will make you feel more confident when you're either interviewing on the phone or via Zoom, or even just to apply. It really definitely helps you get focused and kind of keep going with the day and what you're trying to accomplish, whether it's looking for a job or just trying to get some other different goals accomplished. You know, stay focused and motivated. It's going to be tough. There is a lot of competition out there for all industries. There are people that are leaving the industry that they're used to try different things. You know, yesterday I started pre-screening for a specific position, and the resumes that I'm seeing are completely outside of our industry, because a lot of people have decided to take a break from hospitality to go do something else. So it's been actually kind of great to start seeing, okay, well, maybe not hotels, but they've done so many other things that we can definitely translate those skills into our world. So be ready for that. It's going to be competitive, all right? But maybe just step away. You know, sometimes this can be draining. I think we've all, at some point, have had to apply for jobs and go through the whole process and having to not only upload your resume, but then now you have to type it up. We understand the struggle. We understand the frustration. Step away. Take a break from all of that and try to rewire, reset your brain again to start all over again, because it's going to be competitive, and it may be challenging depending on, you know, how long this whole situation kind of goes through. And then once again, prepare yourself for the good, the bad, and the great. It's not always going to be, they're not always going to be great days. You may get tons of calls back after putting several resumes and applications out there. There might be some days that you may not get some calls back, but also keep in mind, and I was just talking to someone about this today, that some of the hiring managers and recruiters or companies are also running very lean. So for instance, you know, Toby and I used to have teams of, 3 to 4, 5 teams helping us with tons of things. So we're also trying to multitask and trying to get to candidates as quickly as we can to be able to fill the roles that we do need to identify. So building your brand is going to be huge. And I am sure we've all heard a lot of what we're talking about, from college, from conversations, from trainings, but we're watching. So LinkedIn, I'm a huge LinkedIn nerd when it comes to just seeing what other companies are doing. I'm constantly seeing, what are some of the things they're doing to keep their employees happy, to some of my colleagues in the industry, to see what they're looking for or what some of the people that have worked for us are currently doing. And we are really just keeping an eye out to see, what's going on out there. So just make sure that you're aware of what kind of energy you're placing out there, right? What is it that you're posting? What is it that you're sharing? Especially in some of the sites like your LinkedIn's. If you're part of social groups, make sure you're careful of what you're putting out there. Toby and I were talking about, there's a huge hospitality group on Facebook. People don't know that Toby's part of that group, and you may be putting in there all these negative things about how you're feeling about a certain job, a certain company. Just understand that there's a huge network out there of all of us, whether it's HR, recruiters, or just really hire managers. And I've had some leaders that have actually come to me when I've mentioned some candidates to them, and they're like, oh, actually, I've seen that person on LinkedIn, and honestly, I don't really enjoy some of the posts that this person has been posting and the negativity that comes with it. They are relating those messages and that energy into what they would be like at work. So to give you an example, we had someone phenomenal, skill set amazing, and then after the fact, she kept posting things and just frustrating comments about how this whole thing has been awful, and there was a lot of just negative victim mentality, which we all know we're all going through. But a lot of the other leaders notice and will make comments to me like, hey, have you seen so-and-so's comments, so-and-so comment? Oh my gosh, good thing she's not here anymore. So little does she know that people are noticing those type of messages, and it has definitely negatively impacted her on this end, because now they're like, well, if a position opens up, we're not interested in kind of dealing with some of that negative energy. So just be mindful that a lot of the employers or either just peers, when it comes to social media and the presence, we're all watching.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump in for a moment also, is that brand is probably one of those newer buzzwords that we never thought of before. You know, when we thought about brand, we thought maybe of a type of a car, or if you think of Starbucks versus Dunkin' Donuts, you know, they each speak and say something different. And this is what companies are looking for. When they make a hire, you are truly a representation of their company. So what does your brand say about you? And I can tell you, I had to learn that. And I was like, well, I don't know. What is it supposed to say? And so it's okay not to know. But what I did was, LinkedIn is kind of like the Facebook for business people. And I just went to a lot of different profiles and I said, okay, I like what that says. I like what that looks like. And I literally just created a profile by looking at other success. Most people are going to make that initial impression within a matter of seconds. So I really encourage you that if you don't have a LinkedIn, that you get one. The other thing is, if you have one, make sure it's not a selfie, that's your profile picture. Trust me, with the amazing phones that are out there today with filters, you can do amazing things and not have to have a whole photo shoot to have that representation of you. But whenever I have candidates, especially for some senior roles, I go to their LinkedIn, because the other thing is, people can endorse you on LinkedIn. And it's okay to ask other people to go in and put an endorsement of you, because you'd be amazed at how so many people are connected through that social media profile.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about networking. I can tell you, I enjoy speaking in front of people. I've done it for years, but if you put me in a networking event and tell me I have to go make friends, I'm going to hide in the corner from everyone, because I'm like, what do I talk about? So networking for me has always been hard, but networking is where most business deals and most connections are made. So taking yourself out of your shell, out of your comfort zone. And the great thing right now, everything's done virtual, right? So it even makes it a little easier. You can kind of hide behind that camera, hide behind the computer to be able to do that. So there's amazing groups on Facebook that has the same type of industry that you may have been in. You know, I'm in hospitality, so I have this great position. I'm recruiting for right now, and I put it on that Facebook group. I know there's a lot of people and there's looking for jobs. There's great talent. So what better way than for me to post a job there? There's variety of jobs through LinkedIn, another great way that you can post or connect with like-minded people. Meetup is another great way, where a lot of like interests, and you can make a lot of connections through there, which you wouldn't think, but honestly can connect into a job or some type of business opportunity. And the same way with Eventbrite. So you want to make sure that you're making those connections. So for instance, there's someone that I met through Sarah years ago, and maybe I've met her 2 or 3 times. I don't really know her, but I had an opportunity available. So I reached out to Sarah and I said, hey, can I get her phone number? I want to talk to her about this opportunity. This person was not looking for a job. She had no idea that I'd be calling her about an opportunity. That's what connections will do for you. And the other thing on there, look for volunteer opportunities. If find yourself not working right now, this is another great way that you're not just sitting at home, that you're able to get out, do something in the community, but as well, possibly make some great connections that can help you. Increasing your knowledge. So I know when the seminar opened, they talked about the different services and opportunities available. You should take advantage of every single one of those things they're offering. You know, even coming in today, that's amazing. There's a lot of things that are free right now that just 8, 9, 12 months ago would have cost you a lot of money. Colleges have a lot of extra money right now that they're getting people in. So it's like, okay, I'm still searching for a job, but I have nothing. At least let me enhance my skill set. This may be that pivot, that time, that job or that career you always wanted, and you said, oh, I can't do it. Now it may open up a door that now you can venture in a new direction. I can tell you from an HR side, certifications are huge. What I personally like about certifications, they're short, quick, to the point. You can get a certification in 30 days, 90 days, 6 months. And I can tell you, when we're looking at applicants, certifications weigh as much as a college degree, depending on what the position is. So do not discount certifications and you just think, oh, it's something else for my wall. Trust me, you definitely can go a long way utilizing certifications and taking advantage of them. So what should you do when you're actually applying? I'm sure it is very, very tedious, process. And you're like, here I go again, here I go again. But number one, don't just apply for anything and everything. Is this really the job that you want? I just did an interview with a candidate. She was great. We talked about it. And then the next day I had a Zoom interview scheduled with her, and she calls me an hour before the interview. She's like, I don't think I want to relocate out of state. And in my mind, I'm like, why did you even apply for the job? If, the job clearly says it's out in another state. You've wasted my time. I put other people's calendars. So now it's more of a negative tone. The other thing is, find out who the hiring manager and recruiter is. Research them on LinkedIn. Trust me, people find me all day long. And as Sarah said, there could be hundreds, sometimes thousands of people applying for a job. When we open that up in our system, literally, we just start going number one, number two, and we just start, that's how we work our way down. We don't have the opportunity to read every single application. So how do you make yourself stick out? Send them something on LinkedIn, find out who they are, call and get their email address. And that's how you kind of put a flag, hey, here I am. And once again, that sea of people, that red person, that's how you're making yourself stand out. The other thing is, change your resume. You should have a variety of different resumes that are tailoring different things. You should not have the same resume for every job you're applying for, because they may be very different. I did an interview with someone yesterday. I dialed the number, I couldn't get through. So I emailed him, I said, the number's not working. He calls me back and he says, so we go through the number. He goes, oh, the number's wrong. So I'm like, okay, things happen, no big deal. So then I said, okay, I see you're working at XYZ company. And he goes, oh, you must have an old resume. I haven't worked there in 2 years. So I'm like, okay, X number 2. And then I look him on LinkedIn. He still has his job listed from 2 years ago. So I'm like, and his picture was not a professional picture for the job he was applying for. So once again, it's not just what's on that resume, it's the whole package. What does that look like? The other thing is, read the job description for the job. There's going to be certain buzzwords that may be in there that when you incorporate those words into a resume, now you're speaking to the person who's reading your resume, because that's exactly what they're looking for. There's even some systems that humans don't read the resumes. They go scan through a system and they're set up to pick up those buzzwords. And if those words are in the resume, now you're getting into the yes pile for a phone call. So that's why it's very, very important to have your different resumes on hand. And then also search for employment outside of your comfort zone. So I'm in hospitality. Our industry has been hit tremendously. I'm based in Orlando, where there's Mickey Mouse, and there's no Mickey Mouse right now. And it was closed for months, and then they opened. And I have a lot of people in hospitality that now have gone to work for Tesla, that have gotten great jobs, working for Amazon. And I can tell you, hospitality, we're like the ride or die people. Like, this is who we are. So to see that they've branched and gone into something else, maybe they'll return one day, but I'm hoping some of them may have found like a new calling in their life they didn't know, because they weren't afraid to search outside. Once again, it's, what are your qualifications? And I would definitely highlight your qualifications really towards the top of your resume. So when you have your resume, a lot of times a traditional resume is going to list all of your work history. You know what? Reverse it. We want to see, what qualifications do you have? Take those words out from what they have listed, put those words on top, and now you've gotten my attention. Research the company. I had an interview this week, and I was interviewing with a coworker, and the director of food and beverage says, okay, tell me about our resorts. And she said, oh, you have 9 restaurants, you have 400 guest rooms, you're located on the ocean. Like, she knew everything about us. And when he asked her, I cringed because I said, gosh, I hope she knows something, because, you know, that's a very direct question. You can't really fluff your way through there. But so you want to know about the company that you're applying for. Once again, look up who you're interviewing on LinkedIn, and can you speak to something that they've done? One of the candidates I recently interviewed, she says, oh, I saw you wrote a book this year. And she said, regarding veterans. I said, oh yeah, so now you know what? She's making me feel good. I'm liking the conversation already. And I'm like, now I want to hear what she has to say. So, you know, that's really, really important. Sarah, why don't you take over about the questions the candidate should ask?
So some of the questions, you know, that you always want to have some standard questions to ask. You know, when we typically end the conversations with, do you have any questions? Is there anything that we haven't covered? Anything that you want us to expand on? You know, when someone says, no, I'm good, and we haven't even provided much information, either A, they're no longer interested in the role, or B, just really didn't plan for the conversation, right? So, and think of some creative questions too, right? Don't just come up with something just because you Googled it and those were the top 5 questions to ask. We get questions all day, so we know what the top, you know, questions would be, or if you look them up. So some examples would be, you know, how does this role contribute to the overall goals of the department? What are some of the initiatives that you have implemented since COVID-19? It's a phenomenal question that we get all day, every day with candidates. What's the biggest challenge? So some questions that you're also making your recruiter take a minute to think. And surprisingly, we actually enjoy it because it's not your standard, medical, dental, vision, 5 days, you know, it's a little bit more exciting, it's more conversational, because the other information you can find online, typically through a posting. But this also tells us that you do care more about what the environment looks like, and not so much, you know, I just want a good pay and good benefits. I want to clock in, clock out, and go home, right? Depending on what the role entails. And also, just to go back real quick on the LinkedIn piece, I cannot tell you how many times Toby and I have gotten direct messages through LinkedIn of someone just saying, hey, I just want to let you know I just completed an application through your careers website. Just wanted to send you a quick note. Hope you're having a great day. And we typically filter those candidates out of the 100+ candidates that we have in a specific position. So it does really make you kind of pop up in comparison to the competition. So keep that in mind as well. LinkedIn messages are very effective. We love them because it definitely tells us that, once again, you're doing your research, you're active on there, you're working towards, you know, having a professional background if you don't have one already, and so forth. So, and then Toby, I'll let you jump in on the written notes. I know you really like the creativity part of this.
Yeah, so, you know, it's very easy to send an email, right? But that old-fashioned handwritten note that a lot of us don't know how to do anymore really goes a long way. I can tell you, you know, it to me, and this is just something personal, is that the moment I hang up a phone, when an email pops up, thank you so much for the opportunity, you know, it's like we literally just hung up the phone. But, you know, if you had a note even already prepared, you pop it in the mail that day, and now a few days have gone by, and now this is a gentle nudge and a gentle reminder to me that, yes, we spoke to this candidate. So, you know, just another nice touch. And once again, how do you separate yourself from everyone else in the pack and what they're doing? Now, you know, the other thing, which is really, I know it gets a bit discouraging, is a lot of times that if you don't get selected to a job, you may find out just by an email. And I can tell you, you know, with the number of candidates, sometimes it is hard to give them that personal touch. I personally try to call someone back if I've had several interviews and they didn't get the job, till at least let them know and let them know why. And feedback is a gift. So if you do get turned down, don't hide under a rock. It's okay. But what you may want to do is say, can you share some information with me? What can I have done better during the process? And they may say, you were amazing. It was just really tough between you and the other person. Or they may say, we had an internal candidate we decided was a better fit for us to go. But you do want to ask for that feedback, because any feedback you can get that can help you prepare for that next one is going to be, you know, just a gift that they're giving to you. And here, I'll give you a moment. This is one of my favorite quotes because with all of this, you want to stay encouraged. This can be such a hard time right now where it seems like no one you know is hiring, or you're constantly getting rejection and you don't know where to turn. And, you know, this is like the king of basketball. I know we have some LeBron James, and I like him too, and a few others. But, you know, at the end of the day, we all know who Michael Jordan is. And I remember first reading this quote and it didn't show me who it was. And then after, when I saw who it was, I was like, wow, that really resonated with me, because we just see the greatness, but we don't see all the failures that happen to get to the greatness. So, you know, if the last thing that we can leave you with is stay encouraged, because what happens is if you just start getting so discouraged and so depressed, trust me, that is going to translate through everything you do. And we even had on there about the law of attraction. You have to pump yourself up, you know, every day, whether it's a short motivational video through YouTube to like get you in the game. If you've ever played sports before, you know, they didn't just put you on the field and say, okay, let's go. It's like, no, we're like shouting, we're cheering, we're getting ready. And that's really how you want your search to be, because it can be a very lonely road. Find a mentor, find somebody that you can say, hey, can you help me? Do you have any ideas? You know, let them critique what you're going through. Let them look at your resume, utilize the resources that were shared today. You know, at the beginning of the call, of all the resources that are available. Trust me, people pay hundreds, if not thousands of dollars for resumes. So if someone's saying we can give you a very professional resume and that's included of what we can offer you, you definitely want to take advantage of that. With that said, Sarah and I also included our contact information, which I just realized my name is spelled wrong. I would think I would know how to spell my name. But if anybody wanted to contact myself or Sarah through an email, if you wanted maybe some helpful tips that we can share. So my Ramirez, as you see, it's Ramirez Johnson at Omni Hotels. And then we have S. Rojas at Wyndham. But when going back really quick, when we talked about mentors, to give you an idea of how important a mentor is, I worked with Sarah, and Sarah was my HR coordinator. So basically an admin assistant. And I saw potential in her, and I'm like, you're going to be great one day. And Sarah can probably jump in and tell you how hard I worked her. And there was tears, I'm sure times she had tears in her eyes, because a mentor is always not the easiest person. But when you see someone great, you want them to be great, and you're going to pull it out of them. And she went from being that coordinator position to being a top recruiter in the company, getting awards. Then she went to one of our toughest properties we had as a manager. Then I brought her on board as an assistant director to open this amazing property. She then was promoted to be a director at one hotel, promoted to another director. And then I just left an area, and I had her, I said, she's the one you guys need here in that place to replace me. And that's what great leaders do. They're going to mentor, develop people to prepare the path. But also, I had that great mentor for myself who helped lead the way. So find yourself a mentor if you don't have one, because I can tell you, especially during this process, that is very, very important. Sarah, do you have anything else you want to close out with?
Yeah, and then just to add to what Toby was saying, you know, one of the reasons why I was able to kind of move around and obtain some of the roles is because I also kept in touch with her. So the networking piece, you know, even when I left her leadership and came back. So reconnect with some maybe old contacts or anyone that maybe you have worked with in the past, and just reach out and say, hey, what are you up to? Let's do some lunch, social distance lunch, of course, if you're in the same city. But during the shutdown of our businesses, I actually ended up connecting with some people that were not working, and I was at the time, and kind of just, it was great for both of us, because I'm listening to what the employees, you know, and the other side, or the employers are, employees that are not working are saying, and things like that. So reconnect with maybe some people that you worked in the past with, because you never know. They might know of someone that is looking for a specific position. So definitely keep that alive. That will definitely help you. And the biggest thing is, you know, we can't change what's going on today. I wish we could, but it's all about how we look at it, and it's about how we keep ourselves focused and motivated. I can't lie to you and tell you that Toby and I had not had our own moments of just breakdowns and crying in our cars, and when we have to give all the bad news to people. But it's all about, okay, let's reset. Here's where we are. What can we do? How can we help? And just kind of rewire our brains. So it's the best advice that we can give all of you. that's pretty much it for me. So does anyone have any questions? Christina, we'll let you take over. He's just trying to unmute us. We see someone raising the hand.
Christina, are you going to take over from here? Or do you want us to, or you're?
Maybe if anyone wants to type questions while she figures out the logistics of it. So I see here if we can have Toby, if we can have a copy of the PowerPoint presentation. There are some questions coming through.
Let's see.
Hello, this is Gwendolyn Thornton. You unmuted me.
Yes, I saw your question was up. It worked.
Raise my hand. Excellent presentation, Salvation Army. I'm a DevOps out of the Lancaster AJCC, and Salvation Army organization has been really one of my big partners. Has helped a lot of my veterans. Multiple veterans have been helped. I worked for the state for 10 years and been connected, I believe, Salvation Army for 7 of those years. So I really appreciate this presentation. I come in on presentations. I do invite my veterans to, but if they don't, I'm going to stay up to date with what other HR and what other veteran representatives have to say. And one of the things that has paid off, I can say, since I've been teleworking, is encouraging them to look for other occupations. Obviously, they are job searching, so whatever they were doing is not working. I have to give them the reality that's not working now, so we need to look at you and see what else you can do and cultivate that. What you mentioned about certifications is right on, because they can get a certification in a weekend or a week or 2 weeks, but ultimately it'll look good on their resume that they're still being productive. So I really applaud this type of a webinar, because it is encouraging to know that there are people that are working. My veterans are getting hired. If they listen to my advice, then things work for them. If they don't, well, it'll just take longer. So thank you very much. I could go on and on, but I won't do it.
Yep. Well, that was definitely, great feedback. One of the things you said in the beginning is that you share the information, but they may not always get on. And part of that is this is very different for people. The whole Zoom and video, and people really want to be hands-on. And, some of this started shifting over the last couple of years, where you couldn't walk into a job anymore to apply for a job. Everything was online.
Yeah.
And from there, it's now the Zoom piece of it. So, it's a lot I have found is just helping people get comfortable with the new part of the process.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Christina, can you unmute John? I think he's been keeping
Yeah,
track of all the
I'm
questions.
unmuted.
All right,
So
cool.
one of the questions that a participant has is, how do you approach veterans with a criminal past? Do you have some insights you can share from a human resource perspective on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think number one is researching companies that are more lenient with criminal past, just in general. I can tell you, working with Wyndham, I was really excited when I worked with them, because they were a little more lenient. And if something came up on a criminal background, and if you're applying for a certain job, it may not be that we can put you in that job, but we still may hire you and put you in another position. So for instance, if you had theft on your background and you're applying for a position that handled cash, well, we may not be able to put you in that position, but there would definitely be something else. Number one is you want to be transparent and honest, because the moment you say, no, I don't have a criminal past, and it pops up, automatically you're going to be disqualified. Read the line carefully of what they're asking, and it's very different in different states. I know California has different laws when I lived in Connecticut, because some employers can only ask you but so much. So you just want to be careful that you don't disclose too much if that's not what they're asking. So just be very, very careful and read and be able to explain it. You know, there's sometimes that some states may only pull a background of 7 years. There's some other states that go back up to 20 years of a background. So you just want to make sure, you know, you can say I was young at the time, I made some poor decisions, but as you see from this point, I haven't had any issues in the last 10 years, and I've had a stable work history as well. And for a lot of people, that will speak for it.
All right. One of the questions I have myself was, you had mentioned certifications. So what type of certifications are you referring to?
Sarah, do you want to
Sure. So to give you an example, during the whole pandemic, I don't know if anyone, I can't recall if the majority from Florida, but Florida Atlantic University, for instance, was providing free certifications that typically cost about $1,000 or more for the hospitality industry. So there's a lot of resources out there depending on what industry you're applying for, what jobs you're interested in. Once again, we're talking in hotels because we're getting a lot of that information. The AHLA, which is the Lodging Association for Hotels, was giving a lot of certifications in regards to food and beverage, safety certifications, anything that had to do with anything new coming up in relation to COVID. So there's a lot of material, not just today, but like Toby was saying, a lot of the colleges, a lot of the training companies that typically will charge a pretty good fee for people to enroll, they are offering either very great discounts or just for free to get people to get something, you know, under the belt when they start the job search. And I can tell you a lot of organizations are also doing a lot of discounts with veterans, you know, obviously healthcare, employees, depending on, you know, what industry you're in, there's a lot of perks and discounts that you may qualify for.
I would also say check with your local colleges, because a lot of things won't be freely advertised, but if you contact your local colleges, they can tell you what certifications they're offering, whether it's free, whether they have discounts for veterans, but you'd be surprised. There's so many certifications that are being offered right now.
Did maybe Gwendolyn want to chime in on that? Somebody's asking, are there resources available to get new skills? Do you have some insights from, so Gwendolyn's with a DVOP at the America's Job Center, so they're a very, very helpful resource.
Yes, thank you so much. And as you mentioned, America's Job Center of California, in every area, I would almost willing to say, I'm not sure what areas everyone is coming from, but I'm in the Antelope Valley. Bakersfield has an AJCC. Then if you're going south, because I don't go further than this, we don't have Crest anymore, but we have an AJCC, Canoga Park, Glendale, Pasadena. I just mentioned those things because training funds are available. You can get your certifications at no cost. I won't say the word free. They tell us at no cost. This is going to cost you time, effort. It's going to cost you, but they don't have a list of, when you go in, here are the things that we're offering, but the high growth industries are what the AJCCs in different communities are focusing on. I try to get, you know, if you've been on the second or third career and you're really kind of burned out, many veterans need to recertify themselves in something fresh that's happening, what's happening now, not what was happening 10 years ago. So getting it funded is a key for me to push them toward our nonprofits. Any of the other nonprofits that may not be in the AJCC, but they're surrounding the AJCC. So that when we say certifications, you did mention industry, so it depends on if it is a high growth industry, the AJCC, under the WIOA funding, will pay for that. It'll be 2 weeks, it could be 3, it could be 6. I mentioned to my veterans things that they can see readily if you have a degree, even if you have an AA. The tutoring companies are available. They will, you can get your CPR, and more or less you don't have to have the CBEST. In many cases, if you do, that's great. You can tutor at the elementary level, or you can sign up. This is substitute working, but the substitute teaching pays better than minimum wage. I want to say that for those who have degrees. I am a tutor, so I'm speaking from experience. Tutoring, even though we're not meeting, you can do it online. We know everything is moving in that direction more than before. Getting a notary public, getting an insurance license, tax certification, and again, I mentioned working part-time for the school district. Even the hospitals have substitute working. If you have any kind of medical background, again, through the AJCCs, get a certification in something that you have the skills and the intelligence to get. So it's a matter of time and effort, but that's what I do. I look for information for my veterans. They are very well informed. So all they have to do is pick and choose from the information they get to move out of where they're at now. So they can be doing something productive. And I just encourage everyone to check the AJCCs out, because they have the money and they need to spend it. And they are always looking for veterans. It's just always a shortage.
All right, thank you very much. We have a question from Skylar, who recently completed a truck driver certification. And I'm not sure, but just looking for financing for a truck. Does anyone, to get started in that industry, does anyone have any insights?
Skylar, just email ves@usw.salvationarmy.org.
Yeah.
And then we'll be able to answer your question through there. Yeah, so Skylar, just email us at ves@usw.salvationarmy.org, and we'll be able to answer that question. I have a question from B. Taylor, for Sarah and Toby, what websites do you are good for job searching? So I know, and I use Indeed when I'm working with my clients, but a lot of times I feel like using Indeed, you just get washed in with everybody else that's applying through Indeed. So are there any tips or things from a HR's perspective in regards to applying online and using those types of websites?
Indeed, is one of the most popular ones that you see a lot of people use, but as you said, you definitely can get washed in. What you want to do is search for the industry that you're looking to get in, because you'd be surprised. There's a lot of websites specific to that industry. So for instance, there's a few of them specific to hospitality, and that's where I tend to look at. LinkedIn also posts jobs, and you can get set up on alerts through LinkedIn. So I'm always getting alerted with different jobs, and you can put a criteria of, this area you're looking for, and then they'll come to you also. Sarah, do you have any?
Yeah, nope, LinkedIn's great. I also, if you happen to see one job through LinkedIn, let's just, as an example, let's say it's a purchasing clerk, go directly to the website. A lot of time, they're connected, but if you happen to search within the same, like Omni, careers or Window Careers, you might see a lot more options too, because once again, the way Indeed filters it, it's going to be based on what criteria you searched for originally. So if you like the company and you like what you're seeing in regards to that specific role, search at the company specifically, because a lot of times there's a lot more that it may filter in the order that Indeed's picking it up. Monster is also popular. You'll still see some of that. Facebook, I can tell you some, depending on where you are, Facebook groups. As a recruiter, I am, social media nowadays is huge. So any sort of local, in my case, hospitality groups, I kind of just invite myself to those, because there's a lot of people in there, and people are constantly posting. So if I post, hey, I'm looking for so-and-so, I usually get a friend of a friend of a friend that has a referral, and somehow it gets back to me. So social media groups will also be very effective, depending on the industry, like Toby was saying.
Oh, thank you. I have one more question from myself. This is my question. So when I'm working with my clients on their resumes, I have them do a professional summary at the top of it, where outlining their skills and how they match the job. So within that, I usually tell them to incorporate the fact that they're a veteran, the fact that and highlight their experience and some key skills. Besides the things I just mentioned, is there anything else I should have them incorporate at the very top of their resume within their professional summary or objective, or the first little thing that a HR representative would see within their resume?
Well, it's great that you are already adding the veteran piece, because I don't know how many people know this, but a lot of companies have to show that they recruit for veterans. So, they get audited. If they do $10,000 of government business a year or more, they have to show that there's specific targets of classifications that they are actually recruiting for, and veterans is one of them. So that is huge, because if you live near a veteran base, then that's not an issue. But for a lot of employers that may not be as close to a veteran base, then that tends to be more of an issue. So when they see that, a lot of times that will attract a candidate towards the top as well. I definitely would say what's great is there's so many templates right now for resumes, and interesting enough, the work history part for me as a recruiter, when I hire, I look that towards the bottom. Work history is work history. I'm not reading. You don't have to a resume should not be 2, 3, 4 pages long. It's just a snapshot. And I know a lot of times you want to put everything on there, but it's really just a snapshot of what you've done. So you'll see a lot of resumes now that will list the employers, the dates, and maybe the title, but don't even specifically get into everything that they've done, because the title will speak for itself. Especially if you've done the same job 4 times, you don't want to keep repeating yourself. So I like the idea that you're putting, the professional summary on top, and then what are their qualifications and even their certifications, where those are the things that used to be on the bottom of a resume. Those have now really filtered up to the top of a resume. Sarah?
Yeah, I agree, Toby.
Yeah.
So I had one more question as a job developer. Just want to thank you guys as well. This has been just great information. So awesome to be able to ask people on the other side of the table this question. So what about like cold calling, just like having someone reach out via LinkedIn, even if you don't necessarily have a job, but just trying to establish a relationship with a company?
No,
I think that's great. Yeah, I personally love it, honestly. Sometimes it almost, once again, it's building that relationship prior, so it doesn't feel like you're just reaching out because you want something out of it. So I've actually connected with a lot of people that maybe I don't have something for them now, and we've connected and they've asked me questions about the industry and just, networking really virtually. So by the time that I may have something, and Toby, you actually had that one coordinator candidate that was phenomenal. Still, we haven't placed her, but I have her every time I think of something. I'm like, ooh, I remember her reaching out to Toby and just keeping in touch. And then now, I'm connected with her. I think it's great. Once again, it's putting that name in front of someone that can really place you connected with the right person. And like, Toby said, a lot of times us recruiters, we're just really sourcing and trying to filter anyone that maybe, it's asking for $100,000 when it's a $20 an hour job type of thing. So it's great because we're always thinking of like a puzzle piece, like if maybe not this person, maybe not the road here. So I think it's phenomenal. Toby, what do you think?
Excuse me. Yes, the best recruiters have their little side pocket of people that they're just kind of holding, and every 3 to 6 months they're emailing, just checking in, how are things going. And when Sarah and I both worked together for Wyndham, our company actually paid quite a bit of money through LinkedIn, because there's a system you can set up in LinkedIn that you can place people in there. You can put your notes of when you've talked to them or if they've reached out. So when a position opens, even today, we've been going back and forth, and we don't even work for the same company anymore, but we're going back and forth on different possible people. And a lot of this are people in that little holding tank that she has in her tank or I have in my tank. So that's why, know, if you see a company, you're like, wow, I'd love to work for that company. There's nothing available. Reach out, make those connections, because as Sarah said, it's nice when someone reaches out to you, not because they want a job or they don't see a job, but they have enough interest. They want to at least establish that relationship.
So would they reach out as a trying to connect with you on LinkedIn, or would they reach out just like through sending an email through LinkedIn?
A lot of times people will, you know, connect just through make that connection, or they'll just send the inbox. I just want to introduce myself. You know, they may say something personally about the company, and, you know, even ask, do you have time for a quick call? Those get our attention because like, we're like, oh, wow, they don't even see a job, but they're still interested in speaking with us, because it makes our job as recruiters easier when we have that pool of people that we can already work for. Because when a manager brings us a requisition and says, I want this job filled, they don't want us waiting 2 weeks to source people, then set up interviews. We have in our pocket already people we can start jumping into and talking to.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you everyone for the questions, and thank you again for to Toby and Sarah for presenting. So right now we have a quick announcement that a cool little contest that we're going to do real quick, because Toby and Sarah were gracious enough to offer their services for 1 hour of one-on-one interview coaching with a participant today. So we're going to do that contest now. So I guess the best way to do it and most fair way to do it is pick a number. We'll have, I'll have Toby do it since you're the one that's on my screen right now.
Okay.
Pick a number between 1 and 22.
12.
Well, all right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh, okay. Pick another number. That's a staff member.
It's yourself.
Huh?
14.
14. All right. 1, 2, 3. All right, cool. 14 is KMC64. So that's their name on here.
Congrats.
Huh?
He's raising his
You said what?
He's raising his hand. We see him.
Okay, cool. All right, cool.
Sarah, do you want to drop your name, your email in the chat, and then that way they can take the email and reach out, and then we can coordinate that way?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Awesome.
and then we'll also we have his email. I'll make a name, and then we'll
Oh,
email
okay, perfect.
him as well through his through their registration. Let's see, 6, 4. All right. Oh, what? What happened, Christina? Never mind. All right, then now, Christina, you can go ahead and unmute Charles and he can talk about his announcement.
Hello, everyone. Just want to first off thank Sarah and Toby. That was such a wonderful presentation. Very vital information for now and for future. Congratulations to, I don't know what your name is, KMC64. Maybe you want to drop your email in the, to a direct message to either me, Charles Smith, or Christina or Christian. And that way
We put it in the chat. We got it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Just to double checking that. So we want to take a couple more minutes to introduce this contest to you, and then we'll let everyone go. We're having a drive to get more usage of our LinkedIn site, and if you're not on LinkedIn, it's a good time to get on LinkedIn. It's definitely a way to network and to gain awareness of jobs and also apply to jobs and be recruited, as was mentioned by Sarah and Toby. So if you are a veteran and you have, you know, a DD-214 or a military ID proving that, between today, November 17th, you guys are the first to hear about this, and December 17th, we're running this contest where if you go, you see the link there, and I'm going to put it in the chat now. If you go to our LinkedIn page and follow it, and then do a post that is linked to our page and also has the tag TSA Gets Vets Jobs, then you will be entered into the contest. And so you have to do that between November and December. That motorcycle that you see there is the prize. So that is courtesy of Call of Duty Endowment, which is one of our funders. They will be handling the transfer of the bike and everything. So it's not a prize that Salvation Army is giving away, but it's being given away on behalf of us. And so we will do the drawing on December 21st, and then we will post that in our LinkedIn page. And so that person will have 15 days to respond to us in order for us to get their information and, connect them with our Call of Duty Endowment so that they can receive the motorcycle. So it'd be a nice little Christmas gift. So let me post that in here. I was trying to post it. And of course, if you have our email, you can email us for, instructions as well. And we will be posting in a couple of days, we'll be posting again this information on our LinkedIn page. So we just want to thank everyone for participating. There you see in the chat, before you close out, make sure you take down all the links and all the information before you close it out. But definitely reach out to us, even if you have questions. If you're not sure or you don't feel like you need to register, but you have future questions, just feel free to reach out to us. We are here as a resource to help you as a veteran move forward in your career, achieve your dreams, support yourself and your family, and be a viable part of the community. So I'll turn it over to Christian if you have any final remarks, and then other than that, we just want to let everyone have a wonderful day.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you again for joining in. Thank you to Toby and Sarah for doing this wonderful presentation with us. Everyone, you will be receiving a survey afterwards via email. So please fill the survey out. We want your opinion on this event and things we could have done better and things and how you liked it. So we really want you guys' feedback and stuff, and then to register. And then for those of you who want to participate and try to win the motorcycle, good luck.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks.